Hello and welcome to Ticket to Life. This is Henrie. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are new to Ticket to Life, this is a show about anything and everything in life, the ups, the downs, the side to sides, the frontwards, the backwards. We talk about everything. I hope that everyone is doing well. Been praying for you listeners and if your life has not been going well, do not give up on hope because there is always, always hope. Today I'm going to talk about being courageous. That's hard. That's one thing that you think, oh, I'm not scared of anything. We all have a fear about something, and it could be something minor, but we do have a fear, and it does take a lot of courage, honestly, because life is hard. Life can be easygoing for some, but deep down inside, they do have a little bit of fear. And when there's fear, you've got to build up that courage. But before I go into that, I just want to let everyone know that I just got back from Santa Fe, New Mexico. OMG. It was absolutely gorgeous. If you have never been there, put that on your bucket list. I know people want to go to Europe and they want to go everywhere throughout the world, but this is such a beautiful place. The main reason for us going there was to go to the Chapel of the Loretto. If you've never heard of that, it's you've got to hear the story. I can tell you a brief story of it, but it's not. You'll probably say, okay, that doesn't sound exciting. But the story of this chapel is that many years ago, it was a convent, and it was turned into a convent. And they had a balcony up there for the choir. Well, at that time, before it became a convent, it was a church, a chapel, and men were only, I guess, allowed to sing in the choir, so they did not need a stairway. All they did was they put a ladder up and the men would climb over. Well, eventually it did become a convent, and when it did, the nuns were trying to put money together, asking carpenters, but they didn't have the funds. Well, knock, knock, knock. Someone comes knocking at the door. And he said, I would like to build the stairway for you. And they told him, we don't have a lot of money. He said, no, wait. Right now, all I need from you are 4 things. Or these are the 4 things he needed to build it. Carpenter square, a hammer, wood was not on the list. Now get that. That's important for you to know. He did not ask for wood, but he asked for water to shape the wood, a saw, which totally makes sense. Wood, water, saw, and carpenter square. That makes sense. That's all. And he told the nuns he needed complete privacy. So he locked himself inside the chapel, and he just used the basic tools that I just told you. Well, legendary staircase is considered an architectural marvel. And if I will post some pictures on my Instagram, Ticket to Life Instagram, and you will see, it is absolutely breathtaking. There are no support beams. And they said it's complete because there's a recording as you're in the chapel. 360-degree turns, exact, without any central pole. He didn't use nails. And the wood that he used, that he did not ask for any wood, was a type of spruce. That it's not even a native tree there in New Mexico. Well, again, he told them, I need to be alone. No one's to come in while I'm building this. Then all of a sudden, the carpenter vanished. Didn't ask for payment. Didn't tell him who he was. And the staircase it's breathtaking. The nuns apparently went around and asked about this carpenter. Hey, this is the wood he used. Do you know who he is? We have some money to pay him. And they said, no one came here to buy wood. And that type of wood isn't even in this area. So the nuns believed that Saint Joseph, the carpenter, Jesus' foster dad, Jesus' earth dad, was the builder. And some of you are going, oh, that's malarkey. But you know what? That's faith in believing. And it's just a beautiful story. So I can't wait. I will definitely post some pictures and you're going to be in awe. And if you don't believe in miracles, here's one. You pray hard enough, good things happen. So on to being courageous. So how many of us have seen The Wizard of Oz or read the story? Well, the Cowardly Lion needed courage. Or, as he said in the song, if he only had the noive. But we all need courage. We're fearful of failure and judgment. And I've said this in past podcasts. Someone's always going to judge you about something. You may not know about it, but some way, somehow, people are very judgmental, me included. We don't mean to be. It's just like, why are they doing it that way? Because I don't think that's the right way. I mean, come on, we've all done that. And we don't want, we're scared of taking risk. Because when we take risk, we're not sure if it's going to be in our favor. We don't want to be ridiculed. We don't want our reputation to be spoiled. Now, courage is necessary, and we all know this. Afraid of heights. I did something horrible to my daughter. She's afraid of heights. We went to New York, and I had her go on. Oh, I felt so bad about this. The Empire State Building, and we went to the very top. She was trembling. Now, she was a teenager. She had just graduated high school. Trembling. And I said, this is an experience. You don't need to go out. There was a gift shop. So I said, you'll just stand here and you'll be okay. And she was just shaking. And I felt horrible about this. But to leave the center, you had to walk outside. It was kind of a curve. I don't know if it's still like that. She's been out of high school forever. But anyway, so I took her hand and I said, you don't have to look. Just come on. And I still, to this day, feel horrible about that and she said, well, Mom, it was okay. She can say she's been to the Empire State Building, but you know what? That doesn't do anything. But anyway, I did feel horrible about that. But that is one of the fears. She's actually not as fearful anymore. And guess why? Because she has kids. And you can't be, as a parent, you cannot be fearful because you don't want to make your kids fearful. So I don't know. I don't know if she's not like it. It's just funny. We grow out of things sometimes, I guess, because we have to, because if her kids climbed a ladder, I'm sure she's going to go up there and get them. But it is funny how we all have fears. Now I'm not going to lie, now that I've gotten older, sometimes I have a fear of falling. I have fallen because of clumsiness before. I've fallen down the stairs because I was playing with the dog and I thought I was 20. I have tripped over my suitcase in the middle of the night because I used to leave my suitcase open the night before we went on a vacation or trip. And I tripped over it. But that's my fear. But it's not going to keep me from not moving around, for crying out loud. If I fall, I fall, and pray I don't break anything. But the greatest threat to all of us is having a courageous life in love, in any relationship with parents, coworkers, people at your church, neighbors. It takes courage, because some of us didn't have the loving parents. So it takes courage to confront them. And some people will never do that. They will just live with the way that was, or with the people they work with. Because sometimes you can work with some pretty snotty people and you just take it. but at one point you get the courage to finally call them out on something. You may be shaking, but you do it and you feel better about it. And hopefully it works out. But sometimes people need that. They need someone to call them out because they don't realize what they're doing or what they're saying or how they're acting towards an individual. Courage is something that we have to develop as we get older, especially. I mean, some kids don't need courage. They would jump off a rooftop. Woohoo, I can fly, and then land and break a leg. Because kids, in my opinion, most kids, I guess, are very, they're fearless. Now, my grandson, who is only around adults, isn't too sure about, which is good, strangers or being around other kids, because he's usually either with us or his other grandparents or his parents. And so and I know he's going to grow out of that. But courage, not just being young, but being old, getting older, you have to be, if you're trying to be independent, sometimes that's very hard for some. You may think that, what's wrong with mom and dad or my grandparents? They used to be so active. Well, it takes courage for them to drive. It takes courage for them to do certain things. That's why another thing is, please be open with your parents and your grandparents and any elderly adults about scams. You don't need to ask them. You just need to tell them. If they get a strange email, text, or whatever, call you. Because there are horrible people preying on the elderly throughout the world and taking billions of dollars. I know I've had so many podcasts on scammers because I am not very fond of them. I will be kind and say I'm not very fond of them at all. Taking advantage of people is a horrible thing. And also dating sites for any age. So courage we need to be courageous. And sometimes I'm very courageous and people are like, wow, she's strong. But inside I am trembling. I speak the truth. I've gotten better, but I say what's on my mind, and that sometimes gets me in trouble, but I brush it off because that's who I am. But sometimes I have to bite my tongue. I'm not going to lie because I'm like, okay, I know I'm being courageous and wanting to say something, but I better not. Might get slugged. But it doesn't come from being courage doesn't come from looking. I guess what I'm trying to say is some of us have to work on it. It doesn't come easy. It comes from within. And some people who are not courageous enough, unfortunately, I hate to say this, but they are taken advantage of because they don't want to speak to someone and let them know how hateful they are being. And sometimes when we're feeling drained and overwhelmed, it's difficult for us to get the energy to face challenges. And we have to take a deep breath and relieve that stress and just do whatever it is because it's beneficial for you, your family, for you to be able to do that and to be able to confront that. And we need to teach our kids to be courageous because there's a lot of bullies out there. And I'm not saying they need to be mouthy with them or anything, but they need to stand up to what they believe. Many people don't believe in God, and that's fine if that's the way you choose to live. That's your business. But you can't shame someone because they do believe. Speaking up against the majority of a certain topic, like politics, or standing up for an idea that no one else likes, but you really believe in it. And you start worrying, oh, well, if I keep talking about this, I'm going to lose the support. I'm going to lose friends, my family's. No, it's okay for everyone to have an opinion. I have a problem with people who do talk religion and politics, and they're giving their opinion. And a lot of time I just listen. But then when I say something, it, there's no time for me to speak. So, of course, maybe that's a good thing. But it is a hard thing, and we are not failures because we're not courageous to do a certain thing. And if you're feeling like rejected or and your voice is shaky when you confront someone, guess what? That's okay. You still did it. Ask God to give you courage. Ask God to give you the words to say. And sometimes they will just come to you. And they will come out peacefully. And they will come out with such righteousness that everyone goes, you know what? She really explained that well. I get it. I get her side now. But she was polite enough to hear mine. And that's okay. I know we're not all going to agree on this podcast. What's this lady talking about being courageous? Courage is something we all have to work on. Some people come across as though they're very courageous, and you find out they're really not. It's something that it's a facade. It's something they hide against because it makes them feel strong. But inside, they could be very stressed about it. And I don't even know what made me think to do this, but I think having that lack of courage, sometimes it can be exhausting because it's going in your head. And that's probably what causes anxiety, because you have all these wonderful thoughts and things you want to say, and it's overwhelming, but you can't do it. Sometimes, Old Faithful, pen and paper, write it down, because it can really help you feel better. There's a thing with social media too. We all have to have that being careful what you put on social media, because it could come back and bite you. But unfortunately, bullying on, not just children, adults, bullying on social media is a big thing. Of course, it's easier to say something to someone that's not face to face. But having spiritual courage is big. Some people don't want to talk about God because they're scared of what someone's going to say. But if you believe in the Father Almighty, say it, speak it. I mean, my husband and I have bought a bunch of those little rubber Jesus. I think you've all seen them. I guess it could just be here in Texas, or it's been on cruise ships too. But anyway, where you leave those or you hand them to someone and they are so grateful. And I figure they might get thrown away, but that's okay. We just leave them places. I made a bunch of bags, and it was, first I made a little glass bottle that was a set, and I put a mustard seed in it, in the glass bottle with a cork, and it's a little necklace. And then I put them in the bag with a prayer about the faith of a mustard seed. You can move mountains. Anyway, so I've been leaving them. I leave them at gas stations. I'll put them in the bathrooms. I hand them to people. And you know what? It just makes me feel good. And I hope they enjoy them, because I have enjoyed making them, and I have enjoyed passing them out. Because remember, He knows your name. He knows all about you. And how is that possible? Because He is God the Father Almighty. So if you're lacking in courage about anything in your life, no, you've got this. You've got it. Take a deep breath. Say what's on your mind. Be gentle. If someone starts yelling back, you know what? Put your hand up and say, okay, you know what? I need to walk away, and just walk away. And that takes courage to walk away. It really does. So take a deep breath. Know that you are strong. Know that you are worthy of being loved. Know that you are being blessed with a new day. So anyway, I just wanted to share my little spiel about being courageous. It took a lot of courage to start the podcast. Trust me, it took me a little bit to finally do it. And now it's just me and Mike, and we do it because it's a hobby. It's not a job, it's a hobby. And that's the best part of it. So anyway, thank you for listening. If any of you would like for me to pray a special prayer, put it out in the air, would you like to share your story? Send me an email, send me a text on the description, and I can share your story because your story may affect someone to give them the courage to do what you have done. So thank you for listening, and I will be praying for you. I will see you next week, but most importantly, go find your blessings. Thanks for listening.